I mean, I've got to wait for her to come in.
Hi, I didn't realize.
Oh, great, okay. This one, I'd rather be waiting for you rather
Here.
than have you wait on me.
Usually we're telling you, like, give us one more second, give us one more second. Here we go, son. Nope, I'm okay today.
I could only turn on after the game on. Yeah, top down and oh, that is nice. I know. Well, actually, I will turn it down. Because I love Facebook and Facebook cards I got from Amazon. Oh, that's hilarious. Like $6 for the take yourself.
The Thai food truck was pretty good. Yeah. I had the pad thai, and their chicken egg rolls were really good.
12:30 in the morning.
No, it's 12:30 a.m. though. It's 4 hours. So I land there at like 12:30 p.m. Isn't that nice?
I thought you were doing the show at 4 o'clock.
All right, here comes the representative. Good afternoon, Representative.
Oh, that's right.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you today?
Good to see you again.
You as well.
Any way we can get those shades pulled down? That way you won't be so washed out.
Thank you.
That should be much better. Looks like you have beautiful weather down in Columbus as well.
Oh, good. Is it good in Cleveland today?
Oh, it's gorgeous so far. Gorgeous.
Good.
So, of course, you'll hear me intro the segment. I'll talk about what iGaming is, and then we'll bring you in and discuss if the state does make this legal with millions of dollars coming in, where you would like to see the money spent. I do want to see, if at all possible, could I ask you towards the end about Roger Goodell, the commissioner of the NFL, being in Columbus yesterday, or is that off limits?
If I'm being so honest, I'm not sure the reason. I just missed that. I'm sure it's about the stadium funding.
Right. Apparently, the Haslams trotted him to a secret meeting with a couple of Senate Republicans, as well as Ohio Governor Mike DeWine. He's obviously the commissioner of the NFL, and he was pushing for money for Brook Park. But if you're unaware, I don't want to spring it on you. That's why I'm asking you now. We can just forego it.
Yeah, I appreciate you asking, but I'm
Okay. No problem. No problem. We'll stick to iGaming. Stand by for me. Rachel, how do we look? Here we go. Please roll. And here we go. 30 seconds. 30. Good afternoon. I'm Dan DeRose with 19 News, coming to you again from our digital desk. We want to have a conversation about iGaming, or internet gaming, and its potential to become legal in the state of Ohio. Several states have already legalized it. What is it? Well, it's essentially you wouldn't have to go to the casino anymore if you wanted to play poker or blackjack or slot machines on your phone and make money at it, gamble at it. Let's use the word gamble, not make money. It is legalized gambling from your phone, your laptop, your computer, any digital device, tablets. It is being discussed in Columbus at this point. There are a couple of leading Republican senators that are trying to get behind this idea and legalizing it in the state of Ohio. According to Ohio Representative Bride Rose Sweeney's office, the state of Michigan in 2024, where this is already legal, pulled in $451 million in state revenue. That's not how much was gambled, $451 million. That's how much in taxes the state took in from people gambling on their phones. Pennsylvania took in $841 million. So the question becomes, what do you do with all that money when it comes in as tax revenue? We're going to welcome in Representative Bride Rose Sweeney, the Democrat from Westlake. Representative, we certainly appreciate the time today. Thank you for joining us.
I appreciate you covering the topic.
It is an interesting topic. Let me just ask you straight up, where do you stand on legalizing iGaming?
So last year, we actually commissioned a special committee between the House and the Senate to look at the future of gaming. I was one of those members on that committee that worked and looked at this particular issue. It is clear to me that if we go down this route that other states have had, we need to have a real thorough committee process to actually make sure that this is in the best interest of Ohio. There's always the argument that people are already doing it illegally, and so we should bring it in into the open market to keep people safe and regulate. But this would be one of the largest expansion of gaming in the state's history. Only a handful of states, less than 10, have done it. And so my stance is we always have to look to the future of what the reality is coming. Ohio is not often known for the state of being progressive in terms of new ideas and new entities. And we should look at this, but we should do our due diligence. And so there's been a lot of conversations as we were going through the state budget about looking for state revenues. And so at this moment in time, I am not asking us to legalize iGaming. What I would like to see is an actual process to hear from the people of Ohio, to hear how this would impact Ohio citizens, Ohio businesses. And if and when this ever becomes legalized, I think it is the only justification for using these funds is for the children of Ohio. We are underfunding public schools in the billions. We have some of the worst statistics when it comes to the affordability of childcare across the nation. And we hear that this could be coming possibly a rush process in the revenue to kind of make ends meet for the state budget. And that is something that concerns me, and so as to what led me to introducing this piece of legislation.
And so you're calling for all of this money to be spent, and I want to be clear, on K through 12 public education, publicly funded childcare, and programs to address problem gambling. You want all of the money to be earmarked for that. What kind of support do you have?
So we heard as we passed the House budget just about a month ago. I voted no on that budget. It was my first time voting no on a state budget because we severely underfunded our public schools. We didn't do enough for childcare. And even outside of a further expansion of gaming, we know that we're not giving enough to problem gaming in this state as we see a rise of problematic gaming on the horizons. The answer I got from my colleagues as to why we couldn't meet the needs is that we didn't have the revenue. Now we are hearing that my colleagues are looking at generating possibly hundreds of millions of dollars in tax revenue. They said we couldn't fund our schools, we couldn't fund childcare, while even the Ohio Chamber of Commerce says that I think 4 in 10 or 6 out of 10 families are choosing not to work in the state because of how unaffordable childcare is. It's a workforce issue. We have our children not being educated in our schools, and the own Republican Department of Education studies showing that we are underfunding our public schools in the billions, leading to higher tax increases on our local homeowners. And we couldn't address these problems because we didn't have the money. Now, all of a sudden, we're talking about generating hundreds of millions of dollars. I would just hope and expect that if we actually cared about the children of Ohio, working class families, that if there's new money on the table, that that's where the very first focus is in those 3 areas. And I have no idea what they are looking at for possibly using this revenue if they go forward. But I thought it was important to make sure that this conversation was started, that if there's new dollars, these are the first things that we should fund because our children and our families are suffering.
We heard Ohio Governor Mike DeWine talk about increasing the tax on gaming that's already legal. We're talking about sports gambling on your phone. He wanted to increase that by 20% and use that money for stadiums across the state. Of course, we're in the middle of a stadium battle here in Northeast Ohio. Is there any chatter that with this millions and millions of dollars that would be raised, could this be the funding source for something like a Brook Park Stadium project? And if that's what Republicans suggest, I'm assuming you are going to be completely against that since you want it for K through 12 and the other 2 areas.
You are correct. I am not privy to what they are suggesting, but I do not think it's out of the realm of possibilities that if in fact they do legalize iGaming in short order, that could be something that they fund as something similar to what the governor did with those the other sports betting dollars. And we do know that there is a special committee that was created on gaming to do iGaming that is happening today. And so I hope those questions are being answered. And yes, if we are not funding our schools and our children and our families, then that should be our first priority before we are funding stadiums. I don't think that should be a controversial topic. I'm not essentially against having a pot of money to make sure that local municipalities and those taxpayers are on the hook. But our job, my job as a state lawmaker, is to make sure that we are doing our due diligence. It is in the Ohio Constitution that is the state of Ohio's job to fund public schools. Nowhere in that Constitution does it say it's our job to fund stadiums. That comes secondarily after we do our first duty, which is to protect and care for all Ohioans, but especially the children in Ohio.
An exceptional point there. We are going to wrap up our time here with State Representative Bride Rose Sweeney, a Democrat out of Westlake, right here in Northeast Ohio. Going to give you the final word here. This kind of feels like this might be getting accelerated or pushed through. We hadn't heard any talk about this, but yet we know a budget has to be on the governor's desk by June 30th. So here we are with a month and a half. I'm going to give you the final word. This feels like it's being pushed.
It definitely feels like that. And what I want to encourage listeners and watchers is please contact your Ohio senators and your House representatives on how you feel about this. This is a massive change into the way an expansion of gaming. I'm not sure exactly if this is the right thing for Ohio. Maybe it is. If it really could mean $800 million, what do you think we should spend those dollars on? If this is something that is going to patch up some holes in our budget, that means that they're going to get this done before July 1st. And it was just introduced today. So sometimes I've watched bills take decades to get passed. The fact that we would rush through one of the largest expansion in gaming without even considering or hearing from the people of Ohio, I think is a real affront to democracy. And I want the people to make sure that you know what's going on in your state house and know that we work for you, and you should contact us and let us know how you feel about, one, whether or not we should legalize iGaming on your phones. And if we do so, what do you want us to spend on your tax dollars for those revenues that could be generated?
You can see it as your civic duty contacting your Ohio State Representative or State Senator. Representative Sweeney, we certainly appreciate the time on this issue, and I'm sure we'll be talking in the future. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me.
All right, take care. That's going to wrap up, again, what is just the beginning of a conversation on iGaming in the state of Ohio. Introduced just within the last 24 hours. There's a committee that's going to be formed later this afternoon. And could this be sort of rammed into the budget in the next week or the next month and a half? We'll have to wait and see. If we have any other breaking news, it'll be here on our digital properties. Otherwise, make sure you join us for 3.5 hours of news and first alert weather on Channel 19 starting at 3 o'clock. I'm Dan DeRose for 19 News. Have a great day.
19 News is everywhere. Download our CTV apps and follow us on social media @Cleveland 19 News.